Hello, I am the Wrestling Man, and welcome to the channel. And the first thing I've got to say after watching last night's Elimination Chamber is what happened? Seriously, WWE, what in the world were you doing? With that being said, I'm going to jump straight into this, because I've got a lot of ground to cover, and this is going to take a while. So, first things first, some of my predictions, well, my predictions starting off with the Women's Chamber match. And yes, I was supposed to post these yesterday, but forgot. The Women's Chamber match. I had picked, actually, Sasha Banks to win, even though I was preferring for Bayley to win, or Mickie James, but Banks seemed like, at the time, the most likely candidate to win. Moving along into the Raw Tag Title match. I had picked The Bar to win. The reason being is I was kind of expecting it to be a little lackluster match, and it lived up to its hype. Now, before I go on, I've got to say that some of the matches last night really hit hard and hit big. Some of the notes I've got, I mean, you know, we've got the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which opened the card, which had, you know, saw Bayley trying to climb the chamber after DeVille slingshotted her into the wall. Mandy Rose, who was the second person out, or was the first person out of one of the pods, and the third person in the match, really started showing that the Absolution really had their shit together last night. What I really saw from Sasha Banks just blew me away, especially when she started going after and eliminating Mandy Rose. Let's see. And Mickie comes in and starts really beating down on Banks and Bayley. Loved the Hurricane Rana and the cover of DeVille. Let's see. And when Bliss, I don't know who, I missed who had eliminated Mickie James, so I'm sorry about that. However, the absolute cat and mouse moment when when Bayley and Banks are going after Bliss, oh my lord, I about died laughing when I saw it. Watching Bliss climb the cage and do everything she did to try to keep away from them. And then something happened that really gave me pause to think, and really made me wonder, are they pushing a heel turn for Banks or Bayley because of the whole infighting thing that happened during the match? They hadn't even eliminated Bliss. Instead of waiting until they had eliminated Bliss, they decided to start attacking each other. So it makes me wonder who I also missed who started that, and I missed, well, quite frankly, I really missed a good chunk of that. All I saw was the finish, and oh dear God, Bliss retains. Now, part of the reason I think they have Bliss retaining and going into WrestleMania is that they might be pushing a storyline for Banks and Bayley where one of them turns heel. But we'll have to wait and see. The Raw tag match, I mean, honestly, there wasn't really anything too spectacular about it. I mean, you know, The Bar defended against Titus Worldwide. And, yeah, I mean, there were a few high-fly moves from Apollo Crews, but otherwise, nothing really spectacular stuck out to me in that match. I mean, if all honesty, to me, that match seemed kind of like a blowaway spot. It's like, hey, we've got this open chunk of time. Let's just throw this in there just to fill space. Let's see. That being said, the match that I was waiting for by far the most on the card is still later on, by the way, just so you know. But Jax versus Asuka, with Asuka going over, that I did not expect, or at least I somewhat expected. I kind of half-heartedly had guessed that Asuka was gonna win when I wrote down my predictions the day before. But still, the fact that Asuka was the winner, I honestly was not expecting. But then I thought about, the fact that we've got Ronda Rousey coming in. Well, who's going to be a good opponent for Rousey coming off? Given the fact that she's a legitimate fighter, which means she's going to need somebody tough. And throughout the match, no matter what Asuka did, Nia Jax still looked strong. Still looked really strong, in fact. So much so that I wouldn't be surprised if the WWE doesn't do a storyline involving Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax going from now until until WrestleMania. Especially considering that Ronda Rousey's contract stipulates that she gets a match at WrestleMania. That being said, there were a few moves that just threw me. There were a couple of moments where Asuka did a few things that Asuka did something that harkened back to things I saw as a kid. There was the buzzsaw kick moment where she just hauls off and kicks Nia upside the head. And it made me think of Yoshihiro Tajiri and that little buzzsaw kick that he would do on the regular back in his days. Let's see. As well as Jax doing that kind of bonsai drop. Shades of Rikishi and Yokozuna. But ultimately, Asuka winning with a kind of surprise roll-up moment really is what got me. And you'll see why when I post my next video. But moving on to the next match, we had Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. We had the woken, broken Matt Hardy, and I will always say it this way because in WWE, they're calling it woken, but the character and gimmick are really something from the old TNA Impact day, or from his time in Impact. And so, as a result, I will always call it the broken, woken Matt Hardy. Dear God, just loved that opening, the absolute hilarity of it. Matt Hardy comes to the ring, and then the lights go out, and then when they come back on, Bray's in the ring, but Matt Hardy is gone. And Bray starts looking for him. All the while, Matt Hardy is taunting Bray Wyatt, saying things such as, taunting him, saying stuff like, delete, delete, delete. Or, you fade away and find yourself as obsolete. Also loved when Bray went for the spider walk and Matt Hardy's just standing there clapping and laughing. There were a few false finishes in there. Then finally, then for Hardy to win like he did, I don't know, that just kind of killed the match for me. That being said, we move on to, at some point, Ronda Rousey's contract signing. I loved the fact that Kurt Angle was really just putting the jaw to this whole thing and just trying to really expose Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and saying that, you know, they're gonna be careful, Rhonda, they're gonna screw you. They're gonna screw you over big time. You know, I also loved watching as Rhonda put Triple H into this, like, spine buster-ish kind of move where she put him through the table. You know, that otherwise it was just an average spot. Just looked like something, again, to kind of kill time, let people go and, you know, go to the bathroom. Let's see, and from that, let's see, this match 4, the contract signing. Oh, yeah. And then going into the men's chamber. I mean, we opened with Miz, Rollins, and Balor. Loved Rollins and Balor, you know, the whole conversation where Miz is trying to first get Rollins to team up with him against Balor, and then he does the same thing with Balor to try to get him to team up against Rollins, and then Balor and Rollins look to each other and do some signing, and next thing you know, they're attacking The Miz. I thought that was just outright hilarious. Let's see. And of course, we got John Cena. Let's see. Just to upstage everyone when he comes out, you know. At one point he had, I think it was Balor and Rollins on his shoulders, getting ready to do an AA. But, let's see. I loved how they kept, you know, everyone in. There wasn't a single elimination until after Braun Strowman came in, and when he did, oh dear Lord, his first thing he did, put away The Miz right before Elias comes out. And even then, in the process of doing all that, he sat there and he ate an AA. He ate a super kick from Rollins. He ate, you know, all these finishers. Skull crushing finale. I think he ate a spear or two from, you know, Reigns at that point. You know, I mean, and then for him to put away The Miz just right before Elias comes out. I also loved how everybody was selling for Strowman. I mean, they were really selling hard. And even Strowman having his, you know, moment of selling where, you know, I really thought he wasn't gonna make it to the end. Let's see. But him sitting there and eating all these finishers and then coming back to eliminate Elias, Cena, Balor, and Rollins. The only thing I gotta admit I hate was, I mean, yeah, sure, he ate like 5 spears and like 3 Superman punches before Reigns put him away. But the simple fact that Reigns even won, you know, really just cheapened that match for me. That being said, overall, honestly, it had a strong opening, and even though it had a bit of a weak finish, you know, some of the okay matches were still up there, good enough to be, you know, 2 and 3 star classic, or 2 and 3 star matches based on most rating systems, especially when you look at the way most matches run nowadays. That being said, I do see a few storylines possibly coming out of this. You know, I mean, with Strowman losing, for instance. You know, I see them either one, because Taker's not officially